Welcome to Tabletop Sagas, and here it is, the last week and the last video for 2025. So today, rather than my usual video of showcasing what it is that I've been working on, although, trust me, there is a fair bit that I've been working on over the Christmas period, but we'll get to that in a later video. Today, I thought it might be quite nice to do a little bit of a talk about what's happened previously in the channel over the last year, what I've really liked, what I think's worked well, and then also as well discuss some things to what's going to happen in the future, what plans, I guess, sort of, have I got going into 2026. And for that bit, I am going to need your help, so do stay tuned for that. Well, for 2025, we started off pretty small on the channel, as always, and definitely the first part of the year was very, very slow. I've kind of struggled to sort of figure out what to put onto the channel and all that. Towards the beginning of this year, I did finally get out a battle report for Hail Caesar using my small 10mm stuff, which I am really happy with, although I do think that I could have done better. I think that the lighting wasn't great, the sound wasn't great, and just it was a learning curve. There's a lot more I can do with it, but I am still really proud of it. It's the first step in a very long, hopefully very long journey, and I have already made some improvements to my setup for lighting and sound since then to hopefully get things going a little bit better going forward. I've also done an awful lot of painting. This has probably been my busiest year ever in terms of army painting, and I am really enjoying it. I think that I've managed to develop a system of my own that I'm happy enough with that gets miniatures onto the table quickly while still looking to a decent standard. So things that I've worked on this year, we've got my 28mm Roman Republic. I've actually started and got that army to a point where I don't need to paint really anymore to it at the minute. I'm waiting for friends to catch up with their Carthaginian forces. Once they've got those up, then I can sort of add to it as well. Then I've done some 10mm Italians, and they are going to go against my British, so I've got enough forces there. And again, really like actually the 10mm, the small scale stuff, the scale of battles that you can do with them, I do really like, and I can see those definitely coming back onto the channel in the very near future. And then I also kicked off some 7 Years War, some tricorn hats. That one I've got, I'm a little bit disappointed with. I've loved the project, and I plan to keep doing the project in some form or another. It's just, it does seem like it's not one that has resonated with the audience. So that's a difficult one that I really enjoy, and I love the time period, but just doesn't seem to be catching the imagination of yous and the viewers. And ultimately, at the end of the day, that's, if I'm putting stuff on this channel, it's all well and good putting on stuff that I enjoy, but it has to be stuff that you would want to watch as well, or else who am I making this even for? And so yeah, those are the sort of the big projects. I also have done a little bit of Saxons in the Viking Age, and those are coming along slowly. I have played my first game of Pillage this week though. Did really like the game actually, and definitely a lot more with that I think that I could do as well. So there's plenty of options there. So that's really a bit of a whistle-stop tour that, the channel has grown quite a fair bit. There is a lot of interactions. The guys who, comment nearly every video now, thank you so much for that. I do really appreciate it. And it does look like it's growing, which is really nice. And recently as well, the big thing I have tried to do is add in some World War II 28mm, looking at some bolt action stuff. 101st Airborne for the US have done absolutely brilliantly. They were more popular than I ever could have expected. Thank you, I am really glad for that. That was a big project, 5 weeks worth of solid work there, and I do have some plans for that in the future as well. But saying all of that, the question is, what are we doing in 2026 here at Tabletop Sagas? So to answer that question, I have to go right back to the start of this channel, my idea. So I think I'm an okay painter. I think I'm decent enough. I'm happy enough with the quality that I put out. But there are so many amazing painters out there on YouTube, and one of my earlier videos I'm very much an advocate for is not using painting videos to just be a paint by numbers, but looking at the techniques people are using and adapting them. So I don't feel a need to do a video for how to do the von Winterfell and then the von Kanitz and then whatever the 3rd Division or 3rd Regiment is called for the 7 Years' War Prussians, and then do the Imperial Austrian 1st Regiment, 2nd Regiment, 3rd Regiment, so on and so forth ad infinitum, to basically do a paint by numbers for every single thing. I think what's more valuable to you, the audience, would be more evergreen topics. You know, this is how I paint 28mm. These are the techniques that I use. Here's how I paint 10mm and the techniques that I use for them, because they are slightly different. You know, you do those 10mm, you have to emphasize things a little bit more. You have to paint things a little bit brighter, and then when you wash it does bring it down, but you need that really solid pop, whereas you can be a bit more subtle with larger scale miniatures. So that kind of thing is the information that I think is of more value to you in terms of YouTube painting tutorials. That bit of a tangent though to say that when I made this channel, I didn't actually originally envisage it. Envisage, let's go with that one. I didn't envisage it as what it has kind of been, which is a lot of painting and hobbying and showcasing. I imagined it more to be, I wanted to, well, clues kind of in the name a little bit, sagas, stories. What I want to do is I wanted to use battle reports and specifically campaigns to tell stories, whether that be fictitious stories of made up around the main battle, so smaller scale linked campaigns, or whether I wanted to go more of an imagination style and, you know, bring in some friends, do some map-based campaigns and tell stories of these nations fighting against each other, and using wargaming to do that and create that far more, I think at least, engaging narrative, story, if you like, saga. So that's where the name really came from, and that's what my goal was. The plan was supposed to be do the small videos, do the hobbying stuff, get the forces to the point where I do have the options to be able to do a campaign and then transition into that. And I haven't really had an opportunity to do that, or I think that's on me as well. I've been very much a hobby butterfly this year of jumping around between multiple projects. So this is where you come in. I do want to, say, once a month, have a hobby video or a campaign video working towards one project, one big project. I'm going to start it in January where I go, right, this is what I'm working on. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, however many videos to get myself to the point of being able to do battles. And I want to do this as large battles or medium to large battles. I want to use Hail Caesar and things. And so I want to have enough to be able to do the battles, do the campaign, and then I want to start to show off that campaign and how you would go about doing that. So that's kind of my thinking. That's where I want to go, but I am at a bit of a loss as to what era to do. My heart tells me that I would love to do Prussians' 7-year war against the Austrians. That would be really cool for me. But I'm well aware that that wouldn't get the traction and that just wouldn't interest you as the audience enough to be a viable option. That would basically, if you like to use a sort of YouTuber, humorous term, that would kill the channel. It would, unfortunately. It just wouldn't work. So I need to look at some other options. Do I do 28mm platoon fighting in World War II? That's certainly an option. Could I maybe do the 5 kingdoms, I think it was, 5, was it 7, the Anglo-Saxons, and then the Great Heathen Army sweeping in, and maybe do some stuff around Dark Ages, early medieval? Or do I go right back and do I maybe do some, I'm thinking maybe some samurai stuff, some small scale plus big scale, and that, by the way, that would be the thing is, whatever ones of these I do is I probably want to do a mixture of big and small games, so 28mm games for some more intimate battles, but I also want to, in the campaigns, zoom the picture out as well and use whether it be Blitzkrieg Commander or Hail Caesar or Black Powder or something to show off the big battles as well. So those are kind of the main things I'm thinking. So well, not ancient, sorry, ancients, that I kind of want to keep separate. Yeah, maybe samurai and do some Sengoku era stuff. That would allow me to use Hail Caesar for my big and my medium battles, whether I do those at 10mm, 28mm, and I do skirmishes with Test of Honor. Or do I do some black powder? Maybe I go into Napoleonics. That's an era that's always been a little bit daunting, I'll be perfectly honest to me, but maybe it's time to get over that fear. And then there's also, do I do World War II? Do I look at some bolt action and some Blitzkrieg Commander? Those are the sort of four, let's see, Dark Ages, Samurai, Napoleonics, World War II. So those are the four main ones I'm thinking of as potential options. And then I also could possibly do a few others, I don't know. And that's why I want your help. So put down in the comments, is there any of those that you think is particularly really going to be interesting? Or am I completely missing the obvious idea and there's something blatant that I should be doing instead? Either way, let me know down below. I'm not saying for definite that I will do it. It is ultimately, I get veto on this. This is something I'm going to need to have enough of an interest in to sustain me over the coming year, maybe even 2 years to be perfectly honest, depending on how long it takes. But I need to ultimately sign off on it, but I am open to suggestions. So if you do have any, put them down in the comments below. Along with that, I think I will also be continuing though into 26 my hobby showcase videos of just the general stuff I'm working on, because I am a bit of a hobby butterfly. I do like to jump around a lot and I do want to show that off for you. You don't need to get stuck on one thing, and I do think those palette cleanses between projects do really help to keep the motivation up. As you can see, in recent weeks I've been putting out a weekly video. It takes a lot to keep that hobby motivation up, and it is very much doable, and part that I do very much attribute to jumping around between multiple different eras and projects. So plenty planned, or hope to be planned, for 26. I do hope that you come along on that journey with me. If you do, or if you do want to, if you haven't already subscribed, do consider hitting that subscribe button down below. It would help out absolutely massively. I would love to see if the channel could get even bigger in the coming year. So thanks very much for your time today. I've been Brett here at Tabletop Sagas as always. Thank you very much for an amazing 2025, and I will see you next week for the first video of 2026.